I always worked so hard to make money until I realized working hard actually has no correlation to how much money you make. And I know it probably sounds the exact opposite of what you probably have learned growing up, but when I realized that you can actually rewire your brain to attract more money to you versus chasing it, every single thing changed for me. Because I used to actually work 10 plus hours a day. I was only making like $500 a month, but that was the season I started to learn about mindset. I started to learn about manifestation. I would see other people make so much money, but throughout the day, they weren't even really working. So I went down the rabbit hole to try to identify how is it people can make so much money, but they're not working as hard as me. So a few years ago, I wanted to test out this theory. I wanted to work maybe like half days, my 10-hour work days to only like 4 to 5 hours. I did it for a month straight. So I would work only a few hours in the morning. I would post on social media, work with my clients, and then the rest of the day, I would do whatever I would want to do. And I kid you not, at the end of the month, I ended up making $40,000 by working half the time of what I was before. So in this video, I'm breaking down every single thing that I have learned about the brain, every single thing that I learned about manifestation, every single thing that I learned about money, so you too can do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna go through all of the exact steps, but before I do, I wanna first go through how the brain is connected to making more money and then money on its own, because you wanna actually understand the foundations of how and why this works in order for you to actually practice it. Because if you watch any of my other videos, you know it's all about the belief behind the action you take. So I can tell you all the right things to do, but if you don't believe it for yourself, it's not gonna work for you. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the brain. Now, there is part of the brain, it's in the front right here, called the prefrontal cortex. Now, this is actually part of the brain where it plays a key role in neuroplasticity. Now, what neuroplasticity really is the ability for the brain to change and adapt its structure and function throughout life. So basically, it's responding to different experiences and creating new neural pathways in order for you to keep that basically as a memory. So growing up, your parents probably taught you how to ride a bike. You know, they taught you how to wear your helmet, get on the bike, how to pedal. And as you start to learn that, you start to create new neural pathways in order for you to remember how to learn a bike. Now, sometimes maybe you didn't have the best experience, maybe you fell off the bike, and based on the experience you had, that is the belief you start to form in your brain. Now, if you're like me, I didn't have the best experience learning how to ride a bike. My siblings actually pushed me down a hill, so I didn't ride a bike for like probably a few years after that actually happened. I was super young, but eventually now I know how to ride a bike. But like what that basically means is if you have either a negative or positive experience, your brain stores that in the frontal cortex. So now that we know our brain stores that up here, if you remember from the video I did about Joe Dispenza about 2 weeks ago, I talk about your beliefs create your reality. Now, a lot of the times, once again, growing up, we have adopted different beliefs based on experience. So what we want to understand and know is since we have beliefs that are stored up here, that is what is creating our reality. So since we know our previous beliefs is what is creating our reality, we want to start to identify what beliefs made us think that attracting money is not something we can do, something that we actually have to chase instead of attract. I know for me personally, I always saw my dad working so hard growing up. He wouldn't even be at home during the weekends because he would always take like trips to like do work trips. He would always be at the office. I never saw him. So for me at a very young age, I started to associate making money by working long hours, by working really, really hard. And he always told me, in order for you to get what you want in life, you always have to work really hard. So of course, when I grew up, when I wanted to start my own business, I started to work really, really hard, long hours, because I associated that to making more money. Now, unfortunately, I would sometimes work so hard, but I still was either at a cap in my income or I still wouldn't make more money. So that's when I really start to question, is this fallacy actually true? Like working more is actually going to make me more money, but that wasn't actually true. So since we know the brain is malleable to change, once again, the belief that we have inside of our mind is what actually creates our reality. We can actually actually adopt and adapt new beliefs in order for us to create, once again, a different reality financially. Okay, so now that I laid out the brain, kind of like the foundational elements of how that is interconnected to what we're experiencing in our financial reality, what I want to go through is money, what it really is, and how we can actually attract it in our life without once again burning ourselves out. Now, what I'm about to say is maybe something you haven't heard before, but money is actually not real. There is no real tangible value to the dollar bill. The value the money has is what we actually give it. And logically, when we think about it, there isn't enough physical money in the world in order for us to like stack it up and make a whole like building out of cash. It's not possible because we don't actually have that much money. Money is basically just like numbers on a screen. It's not really real. So the real truth about money is basically in the exchange of goods, what we're receiving when we pay someone money. So the value, like the dollar price, whether it's $100, whether it's $1,000, it's not necessarily the dollar bill that holds the value or the $100 bill. It's the person you're exchanging value with. So money equals value. In order for us to make more money, in order for us to attract it effortlessly, we have to see ourselves as somebody who has a lot of value. And this isn't just something you tell yourself of like, yeah, I believe I'm worth $1 million. You actually have to believe it deep at your core. So a few years ago, once again, when I was making like $500 an hour, that was me associating myself as somebody who's only valuable at like $10 an hour, $15 an hour. But I wanted to work with clients and businesses that would pay me thousands of dollars for different projects, for different clients. But I was afraid. I did not think these business owners would pay me that money because I was too young, because I just graduated college, because I wasn't in the industry and field that long, even though deep down I knew I had a lot of value. So I really had to create a new set of beliefs and identity that matched the version of me that was able to actually attract thousands of dollars to me, not the version of me that was just okay by getting paid $100 every single week with a client that I put so much time, effort, and energy into. So right now, if money is not flooding your way, it is solely because you do not see your own worth and you don't see your own value yet, okay? Yet, because here and now, I'm gonna go through every single thing that we need to shift in order for us to start to attract that money. So once again, you can actually live the most unforgettable life that you want for yourself. So now that we understand the brain and we understand money and how those two are connected to actually create our financial reality, I wanna go through now how to attract money to us versus chasing it. So first things first, you want to create a new set of beliefs that match the wealth we want to create. Now, for me personally, I didn't just jump right into creating a new set of beliefs. I actually made 2 lists first. I made 2 lists with my old and with my, not even with my old, with my current beliefs around money. I made 1 list about beliefs I want to keep and then the beliefs I want to get rid of. So what you want to do is you want to take a piece of paper and you want to take a pen. Most likely you want to get a pen with a diamond on it because that reflects money, okay? So you want to make 2 lists, just like, draw like a line down the center of your piece of paper, and you want to write good and then you want to write bad. Because right now, most likely, you probably don't just have bad beliefs about money. You probably have good ones too. But for me, under the bad beliefs, this is kind of the list I had. I have to work really hard to make money. Money is very hard to keep. I hate paying bills. Like for me, I always thought bills were something that was bad, but now since I have, shifted my perspective on bills, like I'm so happy to pay bills because I have, first of all, the money to pay other people their service and the value they're providing me. But back then, like, I hated paying bills. People who are rich are just lucky, a bad belief. I have to save up all my money. I just can't spend it freely. So these are not just like beliefs. They can also be thoughts that continually pop up throughout the day that always keep you in that like lack, scarcity, broke mindset. So write down all of the bad beliefs that you have about money and then all of the good current beliefs that you want to keep right now about money. So this can be, I know I can make a lot of money. Maybe you have a really good belief behind yourself. You just know for a fact, once I understand this methodology, this process, I know I can make a lot of money. Maybe you have the belief that you love supporting businesses. Like you just want to make more money because you want to spend more money. That's a really good belief to have. I love treating my family. That's a big one for me. Or maybe you do have the belief that money is really abundant, right? A lot of you are watching this in different journeys of your life. So maybe you have the belief that money is really abundant, but you just don't have that much of it right now. So just write down all the bad beliefs that you don't want anymore about money, and then all the good beliefs that you still want to keep about money. And then flip that piece of paper over and start to write out a list of all of the new beliefs that once again match the new identity of the amount of money that you actually want to make. And I have created multiple lists over the course of the last few years, because when I was making $500 a month, I made a list of the identity of me that was making $10,000 a month. And then that shifted to like $20,000 a month, then $40,000 a month. So I recommend making a list of the next version of you right now. I don't recommend making a list of like your $1 million self if you're not even making $10,000 a month right now. Solely because, not because it's not going to happen, but because you want to have your brain actually believe in it. If you haven't even made a single dollar online, it's gonna be really hard to believe that you can make $1 million overnight. So some of the beliefs that I had on my new list was me existing just in my value. My value attracts thousands of dollars to me. People want to pay me for my skill set. I can work all day and make a lot of money. I cannot work at all and make a lot of money. Money is not attached to my work ethic. I love that one. Okay, and that's actually the one that I practiced that got me from making just $10,000 a month to hitting $40,000 in one single month. I get paid to exist. The more I relax, the more I receive. Making money is the easiest thing I do. I put an asterisk here on my notes because the beliefs that you're writing down right now, they don't have to be true, right? And most likely everything you're going to be writing down, they're not going to be true for you right now. When I wrote down making money is the easiest thing that I do, that was like the furthest from the truth for me, because it was really hard for me to make money. But once again, you just want to write that down because you want to know what belief you need to work on in order for it to be true for you. And that is how it's going to manifest. Now, once you have the entire list of new beliefs, what you want to do is you want to be shifting your beliefs in the moment to match your new identity. I always say it's not enough for you to just read the list of beliefs every single day. Okay, we actually need to embody them, because this was one of the biggest mistakes I did early on. I would have my list of beliefs. I would read it every single morning. Sometimes I would read it in the afternoon. I would read it before I go to bed. But then throughout the day, I wasn't actually embodying them. And if you don't embody them, it doesn't even matter if you read them, because you are creating a reality, once again, based on what you truly believe to be true, not the actions that you're taking. So what you want to do is you want to catch yourself in your old beliefs throughout the day. This is where you want to be consciously aware of what you're thinking about, the actions that you're taking, the responses that you're saying, the reactions that you're having. You want to be so aware of your mind throughout the day. So for an example, let's say you want to be like me and you want to build a business. You want to have your own stream of income. Maybe right now throughout the day, you don't even know you're consciously doing it, but like subconsciously, maybe you're on Instagram, you're like, okay, I know I'm going to have to post for like the next 6 months. I'm going to have to reach out to business owners, and it's going to take me probably like 6 months to a year to actually make a real income using social media with my new business. Now, can that be true? Absolutely. But maybe you don't want that to be your experience, because maybe you've seen somebody else make their first $10,000 the first month that they launched their business. So what you want to reframe that old belief to the new one would be, my skill set is actually so valuable. I can make a post, a reel today, showing my expertise. One person can find me, reach out to me, sign on as a client, and I can get paid today. Why do I need to wait 3 months from now? When you reframe in the moment, you're opening up the possibility of it actually happening. Because once again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record by the end of this video, but you do not create your reality based on what you want. You create your reality based on your beliefs belief system. So if you believe your beliefs to be true, that is what is going to be true for you. And once again, the example of me going from $500 a month to $40,000 in a month, I had this belief for a very long time. And sometimes it still lingers. I always think I have to work very hard. The more hours I work, like the more input I do, the more money I make. But I tested out. I worked half days and I started to adapt the belief that money is not attached to my work ethic. I don't even have to work during the day. I can still make a lot of money. And I'm gonna say, you might have to do this multiple times throughout the day. I know for me, when I was really working on my money mindset, I would have to catch myself multiple times within an hour and do these reframes. But the other thing I want to mention, it's in my notes, when you're doing the reframes, you actually also want to acknowledge the change you are making. Now, you can do this in your mind or you can do it out loud. But in the present moment, if you have that limiting belief, that old self pop up, you want to say, this is no longer me. I am no longer entertaining my old beliefs and my old thoughts because I've stepped into my new identity. I've stepped into my abundance. It's here, that's fine, but I'm no longer entertaining it. I will say this to myself sometimes out loud if I'm by myself, but most of the time it'll be in my head, and it will remind me it doesn't matter what I'm experiencing right now. It does not matter what I'm seeing in my reality. This is not the match of who I am right now. This is basically what I'm seeing right now is basically my old thoughts, my old beliefs, and my old thought patterns. So it might feel really weird in the beginning when you're doing this, but trust me, this is the piece that you really want to do. Like, you can make, once again, you can make the list of the beliefs, you can read them out loud, but if you don't actually embody them, it doesn't matter how much you do this work, it's not actually going to work for you. So the shift in chasing money to actually attracting money to you will happen when your belief is so strong that the outside world doesn't sway it anymore. Like, your belief basically outweighs what you see in your reality. When you're in that certainty, when you're in that knowing, the shift actually occurs. That is when opportunities, clients' experiences, job opportunities, like, they will just pop up instantly, and all of a sudden it will literally feel like you're playing a game. Like, all you have to do is just be in the energy, be in the mindset, know it's for you, and money, I promise you, money is just gonna flow your way. So this is every single thing that I learned about money, how I stopped working so hard, and how I actually started to attract it to me. Let me know in the comments if you love this, and also let me know what you want to see next when it comes to mindset, manifestation, and ultimately building your most unforgettable life. Plus, if you haven't watched this video right here, make sure to watch it next. Until next week's episode, I love you so much, and make sure that you stay unforgettable.